What is the most effective way of measuring the light levels in your garden? Now, light is important for plant growth. Some like sun all day long, others like part shade, some full shade. It's important to know what the light level is in various parts of your garden so you know where to put your new purchased plant. There are a couple different ways to figure this out, but what your end goal is to have a sun map. You'd like to have a map of all your gardens around your house and indicate on that map whether this is a sunny spot, which means more than 6 hours of sun a day. Is it shady, which is less than 2 hours, or is it in between? Once you have that sun map made, then you just use it every time you buy a new plant and figure out where you're going to put it. I'll put a link to a video on how to make a sun map using paper and pencil at the end of this video. A few years ago, I did a blog post on a new product called the SunCalc. This is a little device that you stick in the ground and it measures the amount of light. The claim is that this saves you some time and is easier to use. But when I looked at the device, I decided that this really wasn't something you needed to buy. In fact, I call it kind of a useless device. And my claim is that pen and paper is faster. Well, I've written several hundred blog posts about gardening, and this one got more kickback than any other. Several people wrote in and said, look, I bought the device. It saves me so much time. Other people said, your evaluation isn't fair. Some people have to work 7 days a week and they can't go in their garden to look up and see if the sun is shining. I don't know how those people garden if they're at work all the time. But I got so many comments, I decided to do a test. How fast is the SunCalc compared to my paper and pen method? And in this video, I'm going to show you the results. Step one is to go out in the garden and do a rough sketch of your garden area. And for this test, I've used the back bed behind the house. And it's actually two beds that are situated next to each other with a bit of a patio between the two. This is my rough sketch. As you can see, it's really rough. All you have to do is make a rough drawing, take out a tape measure, and measure the size of the bed. You'll have to do this step for both methods. You'll need it for the paper pencil method as well as for the SunCalc method. And when I went to do this, it took me about 10 minutes. Step two is to take your rough sketch and take it in the house, get out some graph paper, and make a cleaner, more accurate drawing of the garden. Now this doesn't have to be really accurate. Just measure it out to the closest square foot. Again, both methods will require this step because you'll want to end up with some sort of map at the end of it. And when I did this, it took me about 15 minutes to do it. If you've never done drawings like this, it may take you an extra 5 minutes to complete the task. But again, both methods use the same amount of time. If you're going to use the paper and pen method, what you want to do is to go out in your garden 4 times during a day. First thing in the morning, noon, around supper time, and then before sunset in the evening. You want to take a copy of the map you've drawn, and I like to photocopy it, so I have 4 copies. I take one of those outside, and I just draw in the shadow line. In my case, most of the shadow is coming either from the house or from the big tree right next to the garden. So just draw in a line where the shadow lines are. And you're roughly drawing in the sunny areas, the full shade areas, and the ones in between, well, they're part shade. It takes about 5 minutes to do one of these drawings, and you have to do 4 of them throughout the day. So that's a total of 20 minutes. Now let's do it with the SunCalc device. So this is a little device that you stick in the ground and it measures light for a 12-hour period. What you need to do is wait until you have a day when you have 12 hours of sun. It says right in the instructions that you can't have a lot of clouds coming in during the day because that will mess up the reading. You need to find a day that has 12 hours of full sun. How often does that occur? Well, that depends on where you live. In some desert areas, you probably have lots of days that have no cloud. On the northwest coast or on the east coast, there's a lot of cloud that comes in on a daily basis. So you might have trouble finding a day that's sunny all day. I tried to figure out how many full sun days we have where I live, and quite honestly, I couldn't find the number. It's not something that's tracked by the weather department. I'm guessing around here it's about 30%, but I'm going to err on the more positive side and say it's 40%. So 4 out of 10 days are sunny with no cloud. The way you use this device is that you go in the garden, press the button to reset it, put it in place, and just leave it. The next day, come along, press the button, take a reading from the previous day, reset it, and let it sit. If yesterday was supposed to be sunny all day, but some clouds came in, then you can't use those values. You have to redo it in that same spot. The next thing you have to decide is how many spots are you actually going to measure. If your plants are like 1 foot apart, then you would really like to take a measurement every foot. But for this garden, that worked out to 274 measurements. That will take a whole year to do. So what I decided to do is go for less accuracy. I decided that I'm going to take 1 reading for every 9 square foot of garden space. You probably want it more accurate than that, but I think that's the minimum we could go for. So to use the SunCalc to get the measurements we need is going to take about 81 minutes, and I'm estimating 3 minutes per reading, because you have to go out in the garden, take the reading, come back in. That's 3 minutes. And you have to do that 27 times for a total of 81 minutes. The duration of that is over 67 days. So it's going to take you more than 2 months to take those readings. Now that we have all the data, we want to go and make a final map. So take a copy of the accurate drawing you made and now pencil in the areas that are sunny all the time, shady all the time, and the spaces in between, well, those are part sun areas. And you're finished making your map. So here's the final comparison. With the SunCalc device, it will take you about 121 minutes to do the work, and that is going to be spread over a period of 67 days. That's more than 2 months to create your sun map. Now, if you use the paper and pencil method, the total amount of time that it's going to take you is 60 minutes, and the duration is 1 day. Clearly, paper and pencil is much better in this case. Not only that, but you're not going out buying a device that you don't need. And every time people buy these devices, we harm the environment. Someone has to make the plastic. Someone has to mine the metals that going into this probe. Then there's the electronic that has to be put together. And it has to be shipped to you. It has to be packaged. All of that harms the environment. We have to stop buying things we really don't need. Our society loves gadgets, but we have to stop buying some of these. Paper and pencil is faster in this case. So to those people who argue that the SunCalc is easier to use and faster to use and will save you time, now you have the data. It's simply not true. Now, if you'd like to make one of these sun maps with paper and pencil, and you'd like to know the details of how to do that, watch this video right here. Happy gardening.